since this is technically my Friday, at least as far as streaming goes, we have a bit of a tradition on my stream Fridays. Oh, Leo, I'm sorry you're gonna miss the last video, but have a good time at work. Chat? I think you may have guessed it. It is Scott time. It is indeed Scott time. And this time, he is messing around with homemade broadhead arrows. And if they will work well as lethal arrows. Oh, Pepe, no spoilers! I want to see this. This should be very interesting. Are we ready, chats? Scott, take us home.
Hey, Peanut Brain! Surprise!
He shot the T-Rex! Wait, what the fuck? Scott? You should start running, Scott. Right fucking now. You need to start running. Run away. Quickly.
You have a nice day.
No, run! Run, Scott, run!
What's up, everybody? My name is Scott, and you're watching Kentucky Ballistics. And today, we're going to talk about crossbows. Crossbows are stinking awesome, especially modern crossbows. They're powerful.
Oh, yeah.
They're accurate. They're silent. And there are lots of other adjectives. But my question for today's video is, what if you were in a particular scenario, I don't know, like, say, the end of the world? And let's say you've run out of broadheads. What materials could you use to make a suitable, functional broadhead so you can keep using your crossbow? Well, today I have several different broadheads made out of several different materials that we're going to try out, and I am very excited to get started, so let's get to it.
Let's do it. By the way, that crossbow of his looks fucking awesome. That is an absolutely badass looking crossbow that he's got right there. I'd love to try firing that thing. It looks so fucking cool. Is it, Moose? Okay, that is excellent to know. I am glad to know that.
Good height, just not very much spin. Okie dokie, our test medium today is going to be a 16-inch block of clear ballistic.
Yes, Fuka, it's right. It is indeed. This is his new video. We like to watch them. We like to watch his new stuff on Fridays, and this is technically my Friday, so we get to watch that. Yay!
Gel. This is a 10% block, and this is made by Clear Ballistics. So first, I'm going to take a shot at this with a standard broadhead, so we have a baseline and something to compare to, and then we're going to move on to our homemade broadheads.
Scott, why not me? Scott, me next. Me next, please. Please, me next. I'm wiggling and everything for you, Scott.
The crossbow I'm going to be using today is a 10-point Viper S400. This thing is lean and mean, and I'm loaded up with a standard broadhead. Let's see how far we make it into the gel. Here we go. Whoa! All right.
About what I expected. That is about what I expected.
It appears.
Hey, it actually got through on. It actually did. The tip penetrated right here. That, which is about what I expected.
It appears we have our broadhead kind of poking out the end there. You know, like when you can't make it home in time. Anyways, that penetrated pretty deep. Yes, that is a really nice, clean wound channel.
Yes, it is.
Ah. Ah.
Yep.
That's a lot of arrow. Now that we have a good baseline, let's move on
That's
to
a
the
nice
homemade broadheads. So our first homemade broadhead is going to be made out of deer antler. First, we're going to test the penetration of these broadheads, and then if they survive, we will test their accuracy. Okay, let's see what happens.
Interesting. Okay. I think this might work.
Oh!
Okay.
So, someone forgot to hit the slow-mo camera. So guess what that means? There's now a job opening at Kentucky Ballistics. We went through the whole block just like the modern broadhead. And
that makes sense. Oh, yes. Yes, actually, you are absolutely right. I should move to the left. I should. Actually, no, you know what I'm going to do? Probably the best thing to do is let me do this. I'm going to shrink the video size to about here. Visibility still good for you guys? Does the video still look pretty clear for you guys? Like size-wise. It looks okay? You can still see it pretty clearly? Okay, great. So I will back it up to where he shoots the arrow again.
oh! So someone forgot to hit the slow-mo camera. So guess what that means? There's now a job opening at Kentucky Ballistics. We went through the whole block just like the modern broadhead.
Okay, and what I was going to say before I had to make the adjustment is that actually makes perfect sense, because I suspect that in more ancient times, deer bone or deer antler probably was actually used by ancient tribes to make their arrowheads. So realistically, to me, it would make perfect sense that a broadhead made out of deer antler would work just fine, because it's been used in the past with great success. So, yeah, it might veer off a little bit, and I suspect, I do suspect that it veered off a little bit because of the way he designed the broadhead. I did when he first held it up, I was like, that looks a little chunky. It doesn't look like it's either skeletonized enough or narrow or aerodynamic enough. And that could just simply be an oopsie in terms of crafting of the broadhead itself.
And I have to say, I'm pretty surprised. I know that I'm stupid close to this thing, but I still thought that would penetrate a lot less than the modern broadhead. What's wild is it's not really damaged either, even after hitting the table. Ugh.
Yeah, see,
okay.
we can kind of see, it's a little hard to see because it's at a distance, but we can kind of see there's some thickness in it. You know, the broadhead has a bit of thickness, which could be throwing off its aerodynamics. And that may be why when he fired it, it seemed to like veer south a little bit. It's very flat, and I think it's flat. It's a touch girthy. It might have caught wind currents and thrown it slightly off course. I think if he maybe fashioned one in a traditional broadhead, in like a 4-point broadhead instead of just the standard arrowhead, I think it may have worked better too. And also if he slimmed it down some, I do think it might have actually worked better.
Okay, since the antler broadhead survived, I have it loaded up again, and now we're about 25 yards back, and I'm going to see if I can hit that punching bag. Okay, here we go. So this punching bag does not have a lot in it. It actually is pretty light. So we completely blew through it. I was aiming here, and we hit right there. Blew completely
through it. Oh, and it went through.
And now we're over here in the dirt, and that thing held up pretty good. It's still
That's impressive. That is very impressive. He was fairly accurate with it. You know, he struck slightly low, but that was full penetration and no damage to the broadhead. I'm impressed. I am impressed. I'm legitimately impressed by this.
Looking pretty good. So up next, I have a rather interesting broadhead. This is a 3D printed broadhead made with PLA. I'll be very curious to see if this thing holds up.
Not 100% sure how well PLA is gonna hold up. I don't think Kale or Co. I don't think it's necessarily going to shatter, but since it's PLA, I have a feeling it's going to deform. I think it will make it into yeah, Vuka, you're probably right. It is probably like one use only. I do have a feeling that it's going to it probably won't shatter when hitting the ballistic shell, but I do suspect it may deform. Because what's the other option? Remind me, what's the other option for 3D printing? There's PLA and I'm drawing a blank on the other material commonly used. Sure, oh God. It's PLA and what else? Resin. Yes, thank you, resin. I think he probably would have had more. There it is. Yes, Anubis. That's what I'm thinking of. ABS. Yeah, the most common ones are PLA and ABS. At least in my knowledge of it. I do think ABS might have been a better choice versus PLA because ABS is more impact resistant. But we'll see. We'll see what the PLA can do.
See if this thing holds up. Now don't forget this time, or you're gonna get it. All right, here we go.
Okay. Okay. Not bad.
I went pretty deep too, but it did not go as deep as the other broadheads. I am blown away that did not break.
What's the arrowhead look like,
it's
though?
Poking out the end a little bit, but
okay.
It still did not penetrate as deep
not
as
bad.
the modern broadhead and the antler broadhead.
The tip was blunted, though.
Okay. Well, it does look like our tip broke off.
Yep.
But all in all, it held up pretty well.
So other than the tip of the broadhead breaking off, it doesn't look. I think I'm seeing some deformity. Now, I don't know if it looked like this when it was crafted. I'm seeing a bend here. I'm seeing a bend now. I don't know if it had that curvature of that bend in it in the formation because I didn't really get a good shot of it up close, but it does look like there's a slight bend, which is kind of what I expected. I did kind of expect to see some flex in it, some deformity after the strike. But even with this slight bend and with the very tip breaking off, it's still viable for second use, I think.
All in all, it held up pretty well. 3D printed broadhead survived our test. So now let's see if it's any accurate.
Here we go.
I'm gonna aim in the same spot. Here we go. So that time I actually hit exactly where I was aiming. Did not have any drop. Zipped right through the bag.
Nice.
We are right here in the dirt. And that thing is still holding up. But my bolt, not so much. So our next broadhead is made.
Okay, so the PLA, it looked like it had some. It did look like he zipped through really quick. It did look like that part of it to get chewed up though. I can't. He zipped past it so fast I couldn't tell if that's just pieces of dirt sticking to it, or because it looks like that edge and possibly the other edge may have gotten chewed up when it went through the bag, or maybe where it hit the dirt, which could be problematic with second usage of it. So the PLA broadhead while it will work, it may be only good for one-time use in this case. I don't know if you could do repeated usage with that.
Holding up. But my bolt, not so much. So our next broadhead
Layer
is
height
made
also
out
affects
of
the strength
stone.
of it?
This is
Okay, that's
very
fine.
old school, and I am very curious to see if it's able to cut through the block like the other broadheads. Okay.
Wait, hang on. I missed what you said this was.
To see if it's able to made out of a bolt, not so much. So our next broadhead is made out of stone. This is very old school, and I am very curious to see if it's able to cut through the block like the other broadheads. Okay, here we go.
This I think will.
Ooh.
Yep. Oh, really well. Not surprising.
That did make it pretty far into the block. It's actually
very nice.
Poking out of the end all the way. All of these are pretty impressive so far.
Yes, they are.
Still looking.
Yeah, and that's
pretty darn good.
And yeah, Revan. Exactly. That's what I was going to point out too. It is smaller. This is smaller. You have a thinner cross section, and you know the broadhead portion of it is narrower. So you're probably gonna have better flight. You're not gonna have you're gonna have less of a chance of wind catching it. However, I am curious how it's like. I'm not surprised that it penetrated that far into the block. I am curious how it's gonna handle the bag. Because I'm thinking I do think it'll go through the bag like the other ones did, but I do think we're gonna have probably like this part of it snap off. Something tells me this part of the broadhead is going to snap when it goes through that bag. But I do think it'll still make it through it, but it'll just be like a one-time use thing.
Okay, now let's see how
this is Sharad Naji. It does depend on the stone.
Here we go. I'm going to aim in the same spot again. So again, I was aiming right here, and it looks like we hit in that general area, just a little to the right this time.
Okay.
We zipped right through the punching
All
bag.
of them surprisingly accurate too.
Here in the dirt. And that thing looks pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with these.
I'm surprised. Okay, I was wrong. It maintained integrity the whole time. I am surprised. Okay, Canito, have a good one. This thing held, I mean, granted, it's not, I'm surprised, not overly surprised, but I am a little surprised. I mean, granted, these have been used since like caveman era, so they did that for a reason. I thought for sure this would it would go through, but I thought it would be one time and like the tip here might break off. Yeah, cool. I'd be curious to see that too. Is if it backstopped against a tree, how would it handle?
I'm pretty impressed with these so far. Okay, we're gonna have to change out these blocks. That one had been shot about, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. Now we have us a nice clean block for our remaining homemade broadheads. So this next one I am very excited to try out. This is pure silver.
Oh, I'm trying to... Oh, Dragon Rider! Thank you for the tier 1 Dragon Rider! Well, I'm not sure if he's going to say if it's annealed or not. I think this is going to hold up. It's a bit wide, though. And one thing... let me see if he spins it so I can see how thick it is.
Talking 99.999999999% pure. And I know what some of you are going to say. Scott, looks like you defaced currency. You're going to...
Wait. Yes, well, I'm trying to see how thick it is. It looks like he's spinning it a little fast. It looks like there might be some thickness to that one, which is concerning in terms of accuracy. Because you're really putting some weight on the end here that could work against it. It might be tapered, but it does look decently thick. At least I think it is. Like I said, he's spinning it too fast for me to really tell how thick it is. So I'm not entirely sure. See if I can. It's looking decently thick. I'm also curious if there's gonna be flats in it. Because silver is pretty solid, but it is a bit of a soft metal. It's possible there could be some deformation.
Currency, you're going to jail. It was a bullion coin, okay? So get your panties out of a wad. This one is quite a bit heavier than all of the other broadheads.
Okay, I was right. It does look heavier.
How far it makes it into the block, but I'll be even more curious to see if we can actually hit anything with it. There we go. Oh!
But not as much penetration on it. Okay.
Stuck just shy of the 16-inch block. I figured with more weight, it would have pushed it further. That is 100% A-okay. So now let's see how accurate the silver broadhead is. And you may be asking yourself, what is the point of using pure silver? Well, in case of werewolves, duh. Okay.
Duh, of course.
Spot. Here we go. So I figured with the silver broadhead and it being so much more dense, we would have quite a bit of drop. But looks like I hit right here. I mean, I'm aiming right there, and we hit just a little to the right. Went through the punching bag again, and then here we are in the dirt. And it looks pretty good. Well, actually, the tip is very slightly bent, but I'm not surprised because it's silver. So we had a broad.
Okay. So it worked. It worked quite well. So that worked quite well. And you know what? The broadhead tip actually now when he first took this out, the broadhead tip is actually smaller than I thought it was initially. Now that I have it closer to a sizable object like Scott's face, it's this broadhead tip is smaller than when he held it really close to the camera, it looked bigger than it actually was. And that's why I was like, that looks like it's going to be heavy. It might cause a problem. But it's actually, it was smaller than I thought. So
actually,
it worked.
Is very slightly
worked
bent,
fine. I can see why it worked fine.
Because it's silver. So we had a broadhead for werewolves. Now we have one for vampires. This is a wooden broadhead, and this is made out of walnut. As you can see, it is quite a bit longer and thinner than the other designs, so I'll be curious to see how far this penetrates and just how accurate it is.
Now this one is going to be lightweight. I don't think it's going to have too much of a problem for the close-up. The distance one is where you might have an accuracy issue because it is more, but on the same time, the deer antler is also fairly lightweight, as was the PLA. So the accuracy of it at distance actually might be perfectly fine. I do wonder if the tip of it's going to crack off though.
There we go. Oh wow.
Oh. Interesting. Okay,
we did not make it all the way through. Kind of curved upward. And we are missing a little chunk. But that's still
there's
penetrating
the tip.
Deep. Okie dokie, let's see how accurate this thing is.
Okay.
Good aim in the same spot again.
Got him.
I think he's dead. Okay, so I was aiming here. We hit a little high and to the left. And for the first time, we did not make it all the way through the punching bag.
Okay.
Oh.
And that's the lightweight.
That bolt is still holding up.
And I think that's because of the lightweight. Because the broadhead, because that walnut broadhead probably has less weight than the others did, it probably didn't have the weight to really get through at range. I mean, you'd still be dead if one hit you, clearly. But I suspect, yeah, the walnut was just more lightweight than the other broadhead tips. Altamashi, that's an excellent question. And I suspect if he did go with a heavier, he went with walnut. I suspect if he maybe went with maple or oak as the broadhead, or even with the walnut one, if he made it a little bit bigger, perhaps thickened the tip to give it more mass, might have helped also, perhaps.
And as for our broadhead, it is a little more jagged and a little more dull. So out of everything we've shot so far today, I'm gonna say that walnut is losing. So up next is one of our more interesting broadheads today. This one is made out of copper. It is very thin, but this thing is pretty darn sharp. So I'm very curious to see how much it penetrates.
Oh, that's very thin.
I'm also very curious to see if it will fly straight.
This is one, okay, that is really fucking thin. Yeah, Suva, that's my suspicion too. It may or may not on the gel block. I really suspect this one's gonna bend. I'm actually surprised he made one that incredibly thin. It'll get through, but I do think that we're gonna see some flex in it.
Here we go. Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, that stopped hard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it probably bent.
It broke. It bent.
There we go.
It is bent
There we go.
up.
Yep, that's exactly what I thought would happen. That's why it stopped halfway through. Is because that tip bent. There we go. No, Moose, I don't think it dumped its energy. I think because this broadhead was so thin, when it impacted, it's just literally the force of it. All you had to get was a little bit of, raise, like where it was not going perfectly horizontal, and just the force of it hitting the ballistic gel would cause it to flip. And basically, yeah, it essentially acted like a brake or like a dam.
Wow. Okay, so that is our first true failure today. I guess the copper was too thin and a little too flexible, and when it hit that gel, it just stuck it straight up in the air. Nope. We are free. Okay. Use my handy dandy micro tech here. We'll just cut into the top part of the gel. All right. Look at that. So there is no point in trying to fire this at the bag because there's no way it's going to make it over there. So let's move on to our next broadhead. Our next broadhead is made out of plastic. This is actually Delrin, and this...
Well, that should hold up fine. Honestly, if that is solid plastic, this should hold up just fine. That's decently thick. Plastic is tough. You might have some breakage or bending on the tip, but this should work fine.
This thing seems pretty stout. I have high hopes for it. There we go. Oh!
Okay, didn't get full penetration, but...
Okay. We may have went next to a previous wound channel, but we still did not make it all the way through the block. The tip is slightly chipped.
Yep,
now
that is supposed to be expected.
The Delrin is. Here we go.
Hi, Moto.
So this time, it looks like we missed the bag completely. I was aiming in the same spot, just like every other shot, but this time we went so far to the left that we missed the bag completely.
Yep, and that's the weight.
It's in the dirt, and it's in there a lot deeper than all the others, and we are missing our tip.
Yeah, that's to be expected. It's too lightweight. That was the problem. The plastic tip, it was probably even more lightweight than the wood, and my guess is when it fired and it was spinning, it probably caught the wind, or it probably caught side current and veered it off course. Not overly unexpected with a plastic.
Our tip. So our last homemade broadhead for today's video is a lead broadhead. This one definitely weighs the most, so I'm very curious to see how far it penetrates.
This should be interesting.
Will it deform in the gel, and will it fly accurately? Okie dokie.
Good question.
Here we go. Oh.
Okay. Okay. Less penetration than I expected.
That
but
did not make it all the way through the block, but it still made it pretty deep.
Yep.
And it doesn't look like the lead really deformed much at all.
Wouldn't expect it to either.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
The tip.
I mean, lead is a very stout, tough metal. But the problem is you are adding some serious weight. There's the downside. It's because it's lead, and lead is heavy. So while it will maintain shape just fine, this weight is going to be detrimental to the flight path because it's a crossbow, so it's not going to have that much oomph behind it. It's going to slow things down. I suspect when he shoots this at range, I suspect it's going to go low. I definitely think when he does the range shot, I suspect his shot is going to drop from where he's aiming.
Isn't even very deformed. Okie dokie. Here we go. Lead broadhead. Oh, we hit it. Okay, so we did have some drop, but nowhere near as much as I thought we would. Again, I'm aiming right here, so we were pretty low.
The drop wasn't bad.
Right. We made it through the bag, and we are here into the dirt, not very far into the dirt. And surprisingly, the tip is only bent a little bit. So there's one last thing.
Okay, it's about what I expected. That the broadhead handled it pretty well, and it did drop like I expected it to because of its weight. So yeah, so far we're on track with about what I expected from it.
Thing I want to do with this lead broadhead,
it's
I want to know
silver,
what would
no
happen
worries.
if we hit something really hard with it, like an AR 500 steel plate. How much is it going to deform? And is
here
the
we
entire
go.
Arrow going to explode? Okay, here we go.
Good fucking night to the stone. Or wait, was that the antler?
So, I am not really sure where I hit. I don't think we're moving fast enough to really do any damage to this plate. But
that wasn't
we
lead.
100% did some damage to our broadhead. It is completely gone. And surprisingly, this bolt, well, no.
Was that the lead? I thought that was a stone. Hold up. I thought that was the stone broadhead. That was lead? Okay. The color looked off. That's why I was confused. That it seemed like the color was too light for the lead. Maybe that's why I was confused.
Enough to really do any damage to this plate, but
was it okay? I missed that part,
did
Demon.
Some damage to
I
our
missed that. I
broadhead.
missed where he said it was the lead.
Completely gone, and surprisingly, this bolt. Well, no, rip that off. But other than that, it's in pretty good shape. Well, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you thought about the homemade broadheads, and let me know which one you thought was the most effective in the comment section down below. I got me a new toy, a giant Kentucky Ballistics monkey wrench. Now, as you can see here, we are anti-matte, and then on this side, we have the Kentucky Ballistics logo. Be sure and give today's video a like, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure and check me out on all other social media platforms. Links to those can be found in the description down below, along with a link to KentuckyBallistics.com, just in case you want to pick up a shirt.
That's a King Kong red silver.
Thank you so much for watching Kentucky Ballistics. I'll see you next time. Oh, I like this thing. Oh, yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yikes. That was great. Very interesting, too. That was very interesting how pretty much all of those broadheads worked and worked well. I'm honestly very impressed. I am impressed with it.